The judge actually threatened to throw Diddy from the courtroom for nodding at jurors, or if he kept doing so. The defense picked up their cross-examination of Cassie's friend and repeatedly tried to undercut her credibility. And the jury heard from a key witness and a new accuser, an ex-girlfriend who said that Diddy pressured her into unwanted sex with other men. Now, about that rebuke from the judge. It happened while the jury was out of the courtroom. He told the defense that he saw Diddy looking at jurors, and the quote was nodding vigorously, not once, but twice during the testimony of Cassie's friend, Brianna Bongolan. The judge told Diddy's team that is absolutely unacceptable. He asked defense lawyer Mark Agnifilo, who leads the team, if it was going to happen again. And the way he did it was like, rhetorically, it's not going to happen again. Agnifilo assured him it would not. The judge replied, it will not happen again. The nodding happened during Bongolan's cross-examination, where the defense tried to score some pretty big points, and they did. They challenged one of her most dramatic claims, that Diddy dangled her over a 17-story balcony at Cassie's Los Angeles apartment. The defense attorney, Nicole Westmoreland, pressed Bongolan on when exactly and where exactly it happened. And the theme today was receipts. She brought them out, quite literally. Those at the Trump Hotel, where they showed that Diddy was staying at that hotel and traveling in places like New Jersey when Bongolan said that the incident actually occurred. Westmoreland asked her, you agree that one person can't be in two places at the same time? Bongolan replied after a bit of a break, in theory, yeah. The day ended with the critical witness on the stand. The Diddy accuser testifying under the pseudonym Jane, who is identified as victim number 2 in the government's indictment. She says she first met Diddy in about 2020 and was dating him until his arrest. She described a very intense relationship involving drugs and vacations and financial support. But she said that Pandora's box had been opened in 2021 when Diddy brought other men into their sexual relationship. And she described those encounters as debauchery or hotel nights, which prosecutors say are the same things as what Cassie Ventura referred to as freak-offs. Jane testified that she would have sex with other men while Diddy watched. And she said some of those sessions lasted more than 24 hours. She told the court the hotel room would be decorated with red lights, music would be playing, and there'd be, quote, bed sheets covering everything, blankets, towels. She was asked what it was all for, and she replied, for the excessive use of baby oil everywhere. Jane said she told Diddy multiple times that she did not want to have sex with other men, but he wouldn't listen. She explained why she went along with it at first, saying, quote, I feared losing him. I just wanted to be everything that he wanted. Now, Jane is going to be back on the stand tomorrow. I want to begin with CNN's Kara Scannell, our eyes and ears in the courtroom. She has been, from the beginning, a part of this case. Kara, the judge, as you know, issued this stark warning to Diddy. Today, he was saying that it could not happen again. What did you see? Have you seen Diddy nodding vigorously or looking at the jurors before today?
I have seen this. I mean, he was nodding vigorously during the testimony of one of his former personal assistants, George Kaplan, who was testifying that he'd quit working for Diddy because of the physical violence that he had witnessed. But he also talked very fondly of times that he had spent with Diddy, saying that he learned a lot from Diddy. And during all of the positive testimony, Diddy was nodding his head vigorously. He's very animated, and he does look over at the jury. I mean, in fact, yesterday, when they were doing the cross-examination of Cassie Ventura's friend, Brianna Bongolan, I saw him watching the jury for most of that cross-examination. Really? I didn't catch any nodding at that point, but he certainly was paying attention and looking at their reaction. And honestly, after the warning today, when Jane was on the witness stand, I saw Combs again looking at the jury, stone-faced, but he was watching them for their reaction during some of this very explicit testimony.
Really important. I actually interviewed Joe Tacopino as well for my podcast, and his take as defense counsel on what it was like to hear news like that and how he would guide his own client. Really interesting. Yeah, check that out, Kara. But also, you mentioned Jane, a woman testifying under the pseudonym Jane. She took the stand today. Jane was in an open relationship with Diddy. We learned from 2021 until his arrest. Can you describe what Jane's demeanor was like and any reaction whatsoever that Diddy had to what she was testifying to?
When Jane walked into the courtroom, you know that courtroom, there's the center aisle. Diddy is sitting at the defense table. He turned all the way around and watched her walk down that center aisle to the witness stand. Now, as far as I could tell, because my head was kind of ricocheting between the two of them, is that she just had her eyes focused and she didn't appear to make any eye contact with him. You know, she was testifying in a very clear voice. She's a little soft-spoken, but very clear. But when the prosecutor was shifting this conversation, she'd been talking about the early heady days of their relationship and how in love she was. When she asked her to focus on May 2021, that is when she just drew silent. Her head dropped and she started dabbing her eyes with a tissue from the witness box. The prosecutor even asked, do you want to take a break? She said in a firm voice, no, she wanted to go forward. And she then described how in May of 2021, that's when this Pandora's box opened, that she said a door she was unable to ever close throughout their relationship of when they began what in her vernacular was called hotel nights. Cassie Ventura referred to them as freak-offs. But she was describing this. And, a key part of the case here is whether there was force or coercion to satisfy the burden of sex trafficking. And she was asked, if she ever told Combs she didn't want to do this. She testified she did in writing multiple times and also one-on-one. And she said when she told him one-on-one that she didn't want to do this anymore, he said, okay, if we break up, I'll give you 3 months and, I'm not going to pay rent for a woman I'm not involved with. She said she wasn't at all suggesting they break up, but Combs was paying $10,000 a month for her rent. And she said that because of that, she felt obligated to continue with these hotel nights, even though she didn't want to do it.
Really important for the prosecution to try to move the needle on that fraud or coercion or force notion, as it relates to sex trafficking. And a comparison for jurors who recall the testimony of, say, Cassie Ventura, they're going to undoubtedly compare and contrast their notes on these two particular alleged victims. Kara Scannell, keep your eyes and ears open. We need you. Thank you so much. Let's hear now from our powerhouse legal team, former federal prosecutor Gene Rossi, trial attorney Monique Presley, who also represented at one point Bill Cosby, and Benjamin Chew, former co-lead counsel for Johnny Depp during his defamation trial against Amber Heard. Monique, I want to get right to this pattern. I know obviously in a RICO case, you got to show a pattern of different behavior, these so-called predicate crimes. But we're hearing a lot about the pattern of the freak-offs. Multiple witnesses now testifying to this effect in these hotel nights or whatever it might be. Is there a compounding effect that is useful for the prosecution on that issue?
Not to me, not from what we've seen so far. I mean, if someone who, when they're involved in an intimate relationship, likes to have candles in the room, likes to have some sort of oil, some sort of lubricant, some sort of music, some sort of lighting, that seems to be what they're establishing, that is his pattern for what he likes during those interactions. But that's not criminal. And until they show that that's aiding in a particular crime, then what we've got is dating pleasures. And I am concerned, frankly, Laura, that a lot of what we are hearing could be the makings of crimes for millions of people all across this country if what the prosecution is saying thus far is what we are supposed to accept as a criminal enterprise.
Interesting point. The idea of the question lingering, why not charge others with this? That might be a question the jurors are asking themselves to some degree. But Ben, how about this theme of money and financial dependence of some of the witnesses? I mean, this person, Jane, who's been testifying, says that Diddy would frequently give her between $5,000 and $20,000 because her source of income, as she testified, was affected after she then prioritized their relationship. What is the prosecution trying to get at when they're addressing these so-called allowances? Is it financial independence as a way of coercion?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think why Jane is so powerful a witness is that she has the same arc of the relationship with Diddy that Cassie Ventura had. It started out as a friendship, it became love, it became romantic, and then he allegedly converted it into more coercion and having sex with other people, so I do think, I think Monique's point is outstanding, but I also think that they are getting some of the coercion that they're going to need